So I haven't shared practice in a while, and today it's the first really cold day in Boston. It's in the 30s, it's really windy, it snowed for Halloween. So I have a scarf on and I'm ready for that. Wherever you are, you want to make sure you're comfortable. It's also election week, and there's just a lot of anxiety and stress going around. And what I'm about to share with you now is a sequence that I started at the new moon in Libra in October. And now it's November 2nd when I'm recording this, and we just had the full moon, the Scorpio full moon in Taurus. Today the moon's in Gemini. We're just post full moon, and I wanted to share a build on what I've been working on for this cycle. And it's a lot of lunging and a lot of load on your arms, shoulders, pelvis. It is a practice that's a little bit stronger, but you can of course take it as you need. That's always my go-to, as many of you know if you're watching this, if you've been practicing with me. So you might want to have blocks. You might want to have a blanket or a pillow, and we're going to start on all fours. So I've been continuing my studies on movement with Catherine Bruni Young, and all of these warm-ups that I like to do now are really stemming from what I've been learning with her, and they just feel really good in my body. So I hope that they also feel good to other people. And that is, just kind of playing as an opening, as an integration with how you're feeling in the moment by transitioning your body's weight and load around in different ways on your joints, in your tissues. Noticing how when you walk your hands around, if things speak up in other areas. So for me, sometimes when I'm pressing down into my hands or my fists, I might feel it in my back somewhere, up the arm into the chest. Transition, rock back and forth, and just change your angles. While I'm doing this, I'm also starting to breathe with a little more awareness. And for me, that means taking intentional deep breaths and letting it out through the mouth. That's just what seems to work for my nervous system, what feels better to let some held tension out. I'm someone that my anxiety lodges in very consistent places in the body, and I know that that's probably true for a lot of you. And so if you're in touch with that and you feel it, I guess my suggestion is just to try to acknowledge that in the ways that seem the most valuable, the most helpful to you. So now I'm just kicking the legs back one at a time and transitioning there a little bit, taking knee circles. And then I'm curling one set of toes under and pressing back, and maybe even letting opposite knee rock up. So it's almost like you're coming to down dog, but instead I'm just really focusing on the calf and the lower part of the leg and taking some bounces there. Maybe change your hand position for a minute. And then do the other side. move your neck, and then eventually your whole body in big waves. Cat-cow. And then maybe ending up in a child's pose. I'm letting my wrists come up and the heel of my hands come up, keeping my finger pads to the mat in kind of a claw hand way, pressing my forehead down into the mat and just feeling that line of energy up the arm, through the shoulders, through the upper back, and into the spine. Let out a big sigh. When you let out those sighs or hums, you might even feel that vibration in your spine or in other areas of the body. Good, then I'm going to take lateral arm raises. All right, stand up on your knees, sweep your arms up, and back down. So my arms are going to cross in front and give a hug to yourself. Any other little movements that might feel needed, and then sweep the arms back up. Hug yourself, crossing your arms again in the opposite way. Reopen and release. So if you can sit hips to heels or in a hero's pose or maybe on a block, that's where I'm going to go next before we come into more of the active part of the practice. Shrugging of the shoulders could feel nice. Making strange faces, scrunching your cheeks up, opening your mouth in different ways, squeezing your eyes really tight. And then taking your hands to your ears even, and just kind of tugging on your ear cartilage and your earlobes, creating some space there. And then bring the finger pads to the temples and rub it out. If that feels good and you want to keep going with that feeling of, if you hold tension in your face, you could rub your hands together fast when you feel the warmth. Put the hands over your eyes. Perhaps creating that space for yourself to just explore, to get curious about why and where you're holding your current feelings and sensation in the body. A little bit of tapping can also help. Tapping the fingers through the chest to the shoulders, maybe down into your sternum. And maybe even holding your upper back a little bit and taking the elbow hiker's climb. And then finally, arms can open out wide and really reach out like you're having to glue your finger pads to something out to the sides. From there, bring the arms slowly up above you. Bend one elbow and take the hand to the opposite forearm And then isometrics here. Use your own body force to push and pull. Find that opposition as a sustained hold. Good, and then let that go. Maybe pump your arms a couple times just to release that, and then switch sides. So now other arm is up, and you're doing the isometric again. Sustain that energy. Arm pumps. Good. And release. So now we're ready to come into our first sequence. This is going to be a sort of long progression. Come into your table, and we're going to find the left foot stepping forward first. Table, move your blocks to the side. Left foot can come out to the side and then transition it up to the top of your mat. Okay. So I'm starting with some low lunge rocking, front to back, back and forth. And you don't have to go as fast as I'm going with this. You can move really slowly. And you could even combine some cat-cow into it. Once you feel like you've tested it out enough that you can sort of settle into a deeper dragon lunge or a lizard lunge, whatever you want to call it, I'm going to have both of the arms on the inside of the left knee. Bring the right forearm down to the floor or maybe to a block. If that's too far down, just stay up on your hand and left hand to left thigh. And so first feel, again, the isometric opposition where you're pressing left foot, right forearm to the floor, right knee, left hand against your body, but your left leg is holding steady. Your trunk is holding steady. And then let that go. You're going to drop your head and your chest down, and then get a little more fluid with it and just open your left arm up. You might even take a big circle with that left arm coming around. Good, then you press back up, and it's time for your half split. Sometimes we call this gecko pose. I'm going to bring my hands to frame my front foot this time. Let the left toes come up. Take my hands wider. And just take in the back of the leg and whatever might be occurring. From here, transitioning to an upright lunge. So you could stay here with the 90-degree angle, back knee down, or you could curl the back toes under and lift up in it. So that just depends on where you're at in your current trajectory or cycle. Left forearm and elbow to left thigh, right arm up. You can go straight up or you could take a lateral side bend. And then I'm going to dip in a little bit to again find a bit of spiral. Let the arm come up and around. And from here, both hands down to the floor. Curl the back right toes under if they're not already. Lift the back knee up and find your standing pyramid fold. So both legs become as straight and strong and aware as you can. So obviously the back leg and front leg won't be exactly symmetrical or exactly straight. I'm keeping my arms straight here and staying up on fingertips and trying to lengthen through the neck. But that's just because the neck for me can be an area where I hold on. So you could also, you know, move the neck around, drop the head down, and just try some different things. Every shape that I'm giving too, like you can stay longer. I'm just moving through them with, after, you know, a few breaths at a time in each pose. We're gonna come forward back toward the runner's lunge here. You're going to start to bring your weight, your load into your right hand, right wrist. And so we're gonna transition into a side plank. The left foot is gonna heel toe out to the left. My right heel is turning as well. So you end up in your side plank supported. From here, you're going to take some pulses down, drop the right hip and lift. You can move your arm with it. I'm going to say maybe 3 to 5. You could stay there. You could also bring the legs to stack and lift up, and eventually come to your down dog. Once in down dog, maybe a little bit of rocking back and forth and playing with different things. Legs might want to lift up one at a time. I'm going to transition slowly down to the stomach, arms back. You can either take wings or clasp and find your locust variation. Legs, knees can be down or up. Transition back to cobra hands, maybe a small cobra, and then back up to your knees, and then to a heart opener, you know, your melting heart pose or puppy pose. I'm going to press my elbows to the mat, lift the hands behind the head, really press those elbows and press the knees down as well so that you can isolate the pelvis, the ribs, the spine, the shoulders. Doing all that sort of just helps me feel my structure and what's needed there. All right, shake it out. It's been, you know, that just checked 18 minutes. We're gonna do now the other side. And then you can pause from there and find your own practice. So what it looks like on the other side, right foot steps to the right, wiggle the right foot up to your mat, start to build your low lunge, rocking back and forth. Just feeling in to what's needed. So staying in your dragon lizard lunge, left elbow comes down to the mat or block. Right hand to right knee or thigh, find isometric hold. And then curl in, round in, flex in, and then start to extend back out. Right arm comes up, you get a little more fluid with it, You might take a circle with that arm coming around. All depending on your current flexibility and your current needs. All right, we come up from there into our half split. So now I'm going to walk the right foot more into the middle of the mat and frame the foot with the hands. Stay up on my fingertips and fold forward. From here, come forward and set up your low lunge, but where you're upright in it. So we're going to take the lateral side bend within it, right forearm, right elbow to right thigh, left arm reaches straight up or over. And again, if you're feeling like you need a little more action today, you could curl the toes under, you could take this in a higher lunge. And then from here, even taking the spirals with that left arm coming around. And then eventually folding into your pyramid. Straightening both legs. If you had the back left knee down, now the back left knee is up, the toes are curled under to the mat, and you're trying to find an equal amount of force in both feet, both legs. Using your breath as some support to keep letting go. Then after this hold, we're going to walk back toward the lunge and start to build our side plank. So left palm comes down to the mat. You're going to transition the right foot out to the right, swivel, drop the outer edge of the left foot and heel. And here you are in your supported side plank. You can take your left hip down for the pulses up and down. I'm going to say 3 to 5. And if anything, this is just kind of allowing you to assess what you can handle. Maybe you're stacking the legs for a short moment in a full side plank and then back to down dog. And now you get to play and explore with your down dog. And come back down to your stomach. Cobra, maybe come up a little higher and dip down. This is one of my favorite things to do as well. So you're going to let your upper body continue to spiral. And so it could just look like this, a really low spiraling of the shoulders. And then release arms down, turn your head to the side. Let everything surrender down into the floor. Bend your knees, sway the legs side to side. And then see if you want to come up just enough that your chest comes up off the mat. Press down into your thighs, flex your feet, and take your arms out to the side, palms down. So it's this strange integration of locust and bow. Arms might swim back to cobra, press up and into your melting heart pose. Reach the arms out far in front of you, keep your hips up. You may need to even take your knees a little wider, drop your chest down or your head down. You could also stack your arms and rest your head there. And really rinse the skin on your forehead out. So right between your eyebrows, just kind of stretch the skin around on your forearm. And then you could repeat all of that again. Rewind and repeat. I had some more things planned, but I'm out of time for this moment. I think the next thing you could do is lay down. Lay down, take some pelvic tilts, take some restorative rest, or you could go back to a previous video of mine and do one that's all low to the ground after that sequence. Okay?